Elasticity. What is elasticity? Well, elasticity is simply the sensitivity of consumers to price. When a price changes, quantity changes. So what is the percent change in quantity with a change in a percent change in price? Right? So the key to note here is we're measuring the sensitivity of quantity change with price change in terms of percentages. It's not absolute. This is the key point to remember. So elasticity would be simply measured as elasticity is equal to percent change in Q when there is a change in price. So in case of demand, if you increase the price, quantity will decrease. If you decrease the price, quantity will increase. So this will turn out to be a negative number. In case of supply, whenever you raise the price, quantity will increase. So it's a direct relationship. So it's a positive numbers both numerator and denominator. So the elasticity would turn out to be a positive number. We typically measure elasticity in absolute. We don't really put the signs in there, but it is understood for demand it is negative, for supply it's a positive number, this ratio. So to understand elasticity slightly better, let's just work through a sample problem. So let's say there is a price column and there is a quantity column. Let's say there is $10 price posted and 20 apples are sold, for example. If the price is dropped to $7, people buy more apples, so 30 apples. So the change is, absolute change in price would be, delta P would be a $3 decrease. And an absolute change in quantity would be about 20 to 30, so that's about a 10 quantity increase demanded apple, right? 10 more apples are being sold. But we measure elasticity in terms of percentage changes. So what is a percent change in delta P? It's a $3 drop from a $10 starting point. So that's about a minus 30% in price change. 30% drop in price will result in how many percent change in quantity demanded? Well, that would increase about 10 units of apple from a starting point of 20 units of apple. So that's 10 divided 20. That's about a 50% plus 50%. So in the case of demand, a 30% drop in price will increase the quantity demanded by 50%. So elasticity by definition is percent delta Q divided by percent delta P, which is equal to 50% plus divided by minus 30%. That tells you that's about minus 1.66. So this is the elasticity of demand. But typically we put elasticity in absolute terms. We take the signs out. We're saying, hey, it's 1.66 elasticity. In other words, we're saying the sensitivity of these consumers is for every 1 unit change in price, that would be a 1.66% change in quantity. So if I increased my price, in this case of demand, for example, if I change my price, delta P, let's say by 2%, if I increase my percent delta P by 2%, what would happen to my delta Q percent? Well, that would be for every 1% change is 1.66. So for a 2% change in price, quantity would change by 2 times 1.66. That would be something like, let's just calculate that as well. 1.66 multiplied by 2 would be equal to 3.3%. In other words, if you increase the price by 2%, your quantity will decrease by 3.3%. That's what we're saying. So to calculate these things, let's do one more calculation here, which is For example, let's say the price is increased, delta P is, let's say delta P decreased by 5%. If I decrease the price by 5%, what would happen to percent delta Q? If that's a question, we know by definition in demand, if a price decreases by 5%, quantity will increase. Okay, let's do elasticity by definition. Says it's percent delta Q divided by percent delta P. And if we say the elasticity for this particular product we're talking about is 1.66, let's use the same thing. We're saying 1.66. If you want to use the sign here, for demand it will be a negative elasticity. For supply, elasticity is positive. So let's use negative here, and let's walk through the calculation. So let's substitute for delta P, because we know what a delta P is. Delta P is minus 5%. That is equal to an elasticity of 1.66. So let's work through the example. So what is percent delta Q here now? Algebraically, if you look at this one, that is minus 1.66, moving this to this side, right, multiplied by minus 5%. That would tell you that's about minus times minus will become plus 8.3%, which is 1.66 multiplied by 5, 8.3%. So it says your percent delta Q would be increase of 8.3. So if I drop the price by 5%, quantity will increase by 8.3%.